Welcome to the final Badger Beer Hour. Before we make the transition to Badger Beer Report, you'll be able to find us on badgerbeerreport.com. Not quite yet, but really soon. We will be on YouTube. We will be in podcast form, bringing you the same information, but really more in an expanded way. We're excited about this. I am drinking, just so y'all know, I'm drinking a wonderful percolator coffee here from Delta Brewing Company here out of Madison, Wisconsin. It's a coffee brown ale. And y'all, it is light. As you can see, it is light. The coffee is subtle. It's really more on the nose than it is in your mouth, but it's really nice. You can still taste the brown ale in there. So shout out to Delta Brewing Company for this wonderful one, or Delta Beer Lab. And so we have a packed show for y'all. I'm a little, why am I off to the center? Oh, here we go. All right. We got a packed show for y'all. We have a fabulous interview with Chris and Mike Doble from Explorium Brewpub, who recently bought Good City Brewing. So that's really, really interesting. We have a whole bunch of news for y'all. We have some events to talk to y'all about. And we also have to talk about Badger Beer Report, since this is the last Badger Beer Hour. So without further ado, we will get to Chris and Mike Doble from Explorium Brewpub. And we are excited to host our last Badger Beer Hour for y'all. So cheers to that. And here we go with the interview.
Hey everybody, welcome to our final interview as part of Badger Beer Hour. As I'm guessing, usually we do the news segment first, but I'm guessing that y'all kind of know already some of what's been going on in the beer scene in Milwaukee in particular, but really across Wisconsin. It's been a pretty rough month plus here. But in the interest of kind of trying to keep it positive, we have probably the biggest winner in all of that action on the show tonight. He is Mike Doble, founder and co-owner with his wife Joan of the Explorium Brewpub, and now with the addition of Good City Brewing, the Explorium Hospitality Group. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So before we get started, let me kind of run this down newscaster style, and you can tell me what I screwed up. All right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, so Good City Brewing, which, what are you having, Mike?
I'm drinking Rodenbach.
Rodenbach
is a classic style. That's a classic beer, a classic brewery in Belgium. One of my favorite styles. It's a Belgian Flemish red soured.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Nice. Okay, so all right, so Good City Brewing, which was, for a time was one of the brightest stars in the Milwaukee class of 2016. There were a whole bunch of breweries that opened in 2016, and a few more in a year or so on either side of that. Always had a very nice tap room, solid food, but this was really a brewery that at least initially was focused on distribution, at least from the jump, and they grew pretty quickly after kind of the industry evolved a little bit and the advantages of multiple tap rooms and locations became, first of all, allowed and then clear, they were pretty aggressive there too. So they added tap rooms in the Deer District near Fiserv Forum in 2019, in Wauwatosa at the Mayfair Collection in 2021, and in the Mequon Public Market in 2022. But it sounded like co-founder Dan Catt acknowledged last week that they were they had kind of overextended, maybe. The quote is, "We work diligently to right-size and streamline our taproom business by shrinking the Deer District and East Side footprints to spaces that more appropriately customers in the new normal. 2024 was really our first year in our right-sized footprint, and we felt it was time to either reinvest or find a new operating partner who could take things forward." And enter the Explorium, which has been, I would say, a bright star of the 2016 class as well, but focusing in a different way on the Brewpub model. So Mike and Joan opened the first Explorium in Southridge Mall in Greendale in 2016 and transformed a big space in the Plankinton building on the edge of Milwaukee's 3rd floor into a second Explorium in 2020. Mike, you and I were there right at the jump on that one. That was a pretty cool, it's pretty cool to see that space before it was built out into the nice Brewpub that it is now. Yeah. So, and I know that you've been poking around new locations for a while, and this seems like kind of a ready-made expansion plan. When Good City approached you for the sale, right? Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's yes, Good City approached me. Dan has been a longtime friend. We haven't known each other as well as we've gotten to know each other in the last 6 weeks or so. But you know, I've always said, I mean, the St. Francis Brewery closed in 2019-ish. And, you know, we've always looked at that and thought about, you know, back and forth about whether that's a good idea or not. And I've always said, you know, it's a lot of hard work, right? And
building from scratch.
Yeah, building from scratch. And even like taking over something like St. Francis Brewery, it would be very, very difficult to take that over and make it a slam dunk right away. So it just takes a lot of time and effort, a lot of energy, building a crowd and everything else. So we've always taken the approach that if we're going to do a new location and if we're going to look to expand, we're going to want to try to find something that is a slam dunk. And if it's not a slam dunk, I'm not going to jump in on it. And it's interesting because Dan called me in November and said, you know, hey man, I'll just be honest with you. I got a full-time job and my partner's got a full-time job, and we're trying to run these 6 locations, and we're, you know, we just, you know, we'd love to have some help. Would you be willing to partner with us on this whole thing? And, you know, honestly, I appreciated him reaching out because, you know, at the time, I don't know, we kind of battened down the hatches for wintertime, but it's also a great time to take something over and retrain and refresh and remenu because you're not slammed all the time. And so as much as it hurts revenue wise, you know, the slow time of year, it's a really great time to stand up some new concepts. If we're going to reimagine a space, it's a good time to do it. Diversification and spreading overhead is the name of the game. So, you know, having 2 locations and a corporate overhead staff, now spreading that over 6 is really, you know, was quite appealing. And so when Dan and I started talking, it was a really nice way to, you know, I could really easily wrap my mind around how we could take our hospitality focused concept of craft beer and marry it with, you know, Good City's, you know, I mean, they've kind of tried to straddle the line between distributed brewery and Brewpub and, you know, hospitality focus and whatnot. And just to take that and kind of go all in and focus on hospitality at 6 locations, spread the overhead, and, you know, quite honestly, continue to make the Good City beers that are being distributed through Beechwood. And, you know, maybe even sign a contract for Explorium beers to be distributed as well. So, you know, maybe after 8 years, it's time to do. So.
Well, okay, that was all the questions I had, basically. You answered them. Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. What I think this news caught a lot of beer fans in Wisconsin kind of off guard. Yeah. I think the people in the immediate Milwaukee area are probably more familiar with the Explorium brand and have been to one of your places, and have, so, you know, like, more familiar and see, like, yeah, this is a good thing, this makes sense. But I think there's still the perception that, well, a Brewpub is a small business, even if it's a big one and it has 2 locations. And then, like, there's the sense that a brewery that distributes, you know, across the state and has, you know, a bigger brewery and all these different locations is a big thing. So how is it that, can you kind of make this make sense to people? Like, what's,
yeah. So, I mean, so let's go back history wise, right? In what we'll call the class of 2016 of breweries that opened in Milwaukee. I mean, you got to think about, you know, let's back up late 2015 What did we have for brew pubs in Milwaukee? We had District 14 Brew Pub, Matt McCullough running District 14 in Bayview. We had George in Company Brewing in River West. We had the Ale House that had been there forever. So we had a few brew pubs in
Water
Milwaukee,
Street.
Water Street Brewery. And Water Street had kind of like cracked the code of, moving out to the suburbs and, making beer in the suburbs and whatnot. But they were always, I don't know, that Water Street, in the beer clique never, I haven't met too many people from Water Street Brewery, so I don't know. Honestly, but like when you look at that group of people that was solid and really working together in 2016, it was a pretty tight group. The first guy that reached out to me when I was starting Explorium was Matt McCullough, and right very close behind him was Henry Schwartz from Mobcraft. And, Henry was very new to the Milwaukee area as well. Mike Brenner from Brenner Brewing wasn't too far behind those guys. And like, hey, man, it's good to have another guy coming into the, the brew scene and whatever. But that class was really, City Lights and Third Space and Good City and Explorium at the tail end of it. We didn't get open till January. So we were actually open in 2017.
Okay.
But it's a lot of great breweries. And now you fast forward 8 years later and you're trying to wrap your mind around how did, Explorium, this little brew pub that opened in a mall in Greendale. And, how does this end up taking over, a brand like Good City, which is, a great brand. Their branding's very polished and, great. They had a great restaurant to start with. But the reality is what happened, in my view, with Good City is they were a brewery when they started, not a brew pub. So a brewery has the opportunity to make, virtually unlimited quantities of beer and, self-distributed virtually unlimited quantities of beer. And, and have a tap room that has beer and, you could sell food, whatever else, but you can't sell alcohol. You can't sell wine. So it's a brewery and it's a brewery tap room. And even today, 8 years later, even though Good City, changed their license from brewery to brew pub so that they could get a Class B license and have 6 locations and have, one brewery essentially. The Deer District is licensed as a brewery, but essentially one brewery on Farwell, and have 6 locations selling beer and have alcohol and, what goes with that. They had to change their license to a brew pub. So you have this, this brand that started as a brewery transfer to a brew pub and, doing cocktails and everything else. Well, in the end, it's a great brand and they did great things, but the program is not like what Explorium started like. We started as a brew pub. And I think if you go back and read the articles, some of which you wrote, and listen to some of the interviews and some of the podcasts and whatever, I've always said that the future of craft beer is hospitality. And we need to be a hospitality brand first, but it's a given that we have to make amazing beer. If you don't make great beer, if your beer sucks, you're done. It doesn't matter what you call yourself, whether you're a brewery, brew pub, biker brewery, craft brewery, whatever. If your beer sucks, you're not going to make it. So we've always focused first on hospitality, and that is, if I could boil it down to the simplest terms, to the normal person off the street who's not looking for a brewery, they walk in the front door and it seems like it's a cool local restaurant. There's a host and there's servers and there's bartenders and there's a manager and, and it just looks like a restaurant. I don't want to diminish what we've done by comparing it to national chains, but, just like when you walk into an Outback or an Olive Garden or, a Longhorn Steakhouse or a Tumbleweed or whatever, or Texas Roadhouse. When you walk in the front door, there's a host, you're seated, there's a server, your drinks go to the bar, the bartenders make drinks and then servers serve drinks and food runners bring food. We look like a restaurant. And, underneath all that is a really great, high quality, very specialized craft brewery making a massive variety of beers on tap. And actually, if you go to beer ratings and you look at the ratings of our beers versus, market, I mean, we rate very high in market. And so our beer is respected by the beer drinkers, but to the normal Joe that's walking through the mall that sees this cool place, it just looks like another restaurant. And that's the hospitality aspect of what we do. And if I had to put a differentiator on what we do versus, what all these other brands have done, is that we are focused on being a comfortable gathering place, center of community, hospitality brand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, that's very gratifying. And it's pretty cool that we can make great beer that's well respected, and wins medals and, all that other stuff. But to the normal person off the street that's not really seeking out a craft brewery, it's just comfortable and it feels
they want to go there too, right? I mean, like that's the point, is you can do both.
Yeah,
you can have the beer people come in, maybe just for the beer, but also for a bite and a meal or whatever. But you're also getting that other 85%, right?
Yeah.
Because it's important to remember, like, craft beer is a pretty small segment of the overall market still.
It really is. I mean, from a alcohol consumption perspective, craft beer is still, about, hovers around 10% of the total alcohol consumed in the greater national market, right? I'll further go on to say that when we opened our brewery or our restaurant in Southridge Mall, there's a wall. If you're the bartender, you're facing it all the time. But if you're sitting at the bar and you turn around and you look behind you, it says on the wall, "Explore, Taste, Discover," and that's been our moniker. It's been our tagline since day one. I'm sure somebody smarter than me, like my wife, came up with it. But it's explore something new. Taste and see if you like it, or find something that you like in this realm, that we call Explorium, and discover that hey, I am a craft beer drinker. So we've always taken that tagline to the nth degree with our brewers and say, hey, have something for everybody. If there's a guy that loves barley wines that are highly hopped and super sweet and heavy bodied and 14%, let's have a 14% barley wine. We're not going to put it on all the time, but let's have that and let's get that guy in. And, likewise, if grandma likes, Coors Light, we'll take our lightest lager, add half soda water, and we'll serve her what we call the gateway lager. We call it Lewis and Clark lager. I mean, it literally, about a 5.8% lager that we water down with half soda water, and it's 3.8%, and grandma can drink it and she loves it. But I don't find that. There's some craft brewers that find that offensive. I don't. I want grandma to come with her grandkids and enjoy craft beer. While they're drinking hazy IPAs and, the latest, greatest, heavily pulped, milkshake IPA, grandma can sit there and drink a craft beer with her grandkids. And to me, that's winning.
Yeah. So back to the deal. I mean, I think that's a really good explanation of why the strategy that appears to be, working here. What's going to happen with Good City? Because it's a little, like, I've been following this stuff pretty closely, and I'm a little unclear. I know there's a window of time where basically you guys are running the Good City brand, but there's also, well, I don't know. Can you kind of walk us through what's going to happen with that? Is there going to be Good City beer on shelves in a year from now?
Yeah, I think there will be. So, looking into the crystal ball into the future, as long as people are enjoying the beer, the beer will be on shelves. I think I said it in a Instagram post today in a reel that, hey, there's no need to panic. Motto is going to be there, and Motto is going to be around for the foreseeable future. Where we're at today is the deal is not done. I haven't given, Dan and David, a big chunk of money and I've gotten, a bunch of assets. That hasn't happened yet. It's probably going to happen next week, hopefully Tuesday. We have, our loan approvals, and we have, all the deals worked out. But there's a whole bunch of technical things that have to happen. I mean, we have to get lien releases from leaseholders, and there's all kinds of stuff that's going on, and it's just it's stuff that we all hate dealing with.
This is the worst part, huh?
It's the worst. It really is the worst part. And when you talk about laws being made, you don't really want to show up at Johnsonville to see how they actually make a brat. You don't want to see how this deal is actually being mashed together. What I will say is that Dan and David have been amazing, and they're awesome. They are true to their word, and those guys are super solid. I mean, there's no, I cannot say enough good things about how they operate their businesses. They're stand-up good guys, and when they tell me they're going to do something, they do it. So where we're at today is we're trying to unravel a lot of things. I'm trying to get my name on accounts. I'm getting the bread guy to deliver bread, and I'm paying the bread guy because, he knows that Good City's not paying for bread anymore. So I got to, just a lot of little minutia. But we are still working through exactly what the use of the name Good City means. And the reality is I'm not buying the Good City name. I'm not buying the Good City brand. And I think, and respectfully, I think that Dan and David are doing, something, they're holding true to their passion, which is they're keeping their name. They're keeping their beer recipes, and they're keeping their intellectual property. And, I don't know, maybe in a retirement project or something, the two of them will resurrect it, and, more power to them. And I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate the loyalty to what they've built and what it means to them. And that's awesome. That doesn't mean that we won't license the name and make those beers and still, make pallets of beer and ship it to Beechwood for that to go to the market. So that's probably what's going to happen. So, that's the long answer to your question. The short answer is there's 4 solid core Good City brands like the Home Pills, the Motto APA, Spare Time. Those will continue to be produced. They'll be put in cans. They will go into distribution. You'll see them on the shelves. But you're also going to see alongside them, you're going to see a bunch of Explorium brands. And you're going to see in the beer coolers, the reach-in coolers at each of the retail locations that we now control, you're shortly going to see, Explorium beers right alongside the Good City beers. Mm-hmm. You might even see, Good City menu items. We're talking beer, but, menu items like curry fries, God bless the curry fries. I mean,
the curry fries are very,
but you might see
one thing that people are like, you got to ask them about the curry fries.
Yeah, you might see the curry fries at an Explorium starting this week. So
might this week. Okay. You've talked a little bit with my colleague Dan Murphy, my colleague at Milwaukee Magazine, Dan Murphy, about the kind of plan for each of these locations. And it's not that there's going to be 6 Exploriums.
Correct.
So can you kind of talk a little bit about the way that you're seeing that and
sure.
why I mean, it sounds like you could continue to operate them as a Good City location if I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, we could. I mean, we have license to use the brand for, a limited period of time.
Okay.
But we feel that, I mean, let's face it. I mean, in the end, the reason that we're doing this is because, Dan has a full-time job, David has a full-time job, and we're managing places, and we want to optimize and we want to make money. We want the neighborhoods to feel like we're listening to their needs and we're providing what they want in those neighborhoods, whether the neighborhood is the Deer District or the neighborhood is, on the east side on Farwell, or it's in Mequon or Wauwatosa. So what we did is Joan and I literally, when we started doing this, when Dan first called me and we started talking about this idea, and we started believing that this could be a possibility that we would take it over. Joan and I started, quite frankly, scouting each of the locations. Not wearing Explorium gear and showing up at the bar and ordering some cocktails and ordering some beer and food. And, we went to Tosa, we went to Eastside, we went to Mequon, we went to, Deer District. We went to Deer District like 4 times before we actually got in because the hours were so like intermittent and different what was published online. That, we finally got in and went in there and, had some tacos and had some beers, and so checked it all out. And how is it working and how is it operating? So we scouted it. And what we found out is quite simply this. There's only one location of the 4 that we're taking control of that actually has all the elements that make an Explorium an Explorium. And if I had to summarize those things, first of all, a large restaurant space with potential for events. So, a big enough massive space, a big bar, a big dining room. You've been in the 3rd Ward, you see how big our bar is and our dining room, and we have the tunnel bar, and we use it as an event space. So Wauwatosa has that.
Yeah.
Ample parking, big outdoor patio space, where you can do activities and whatnot, big space in the outdoors. And then, a kitchen that's sizable enough. We have a massive menu, which is, a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
But kitchen at Tosa is large enough to support our massive menu because it just speaks to my attention deficit. In that we have to have all these great apps, and we have to have all these great burgers, and we have to have salads, and we have to have pizzas, and we have to have soups, and we have to have entrees, and we need meatloaf, and we could fry meatloaf, all this stuff. It's a big menu. But Tosa supports that. So in short order, the Wauwatosa location will get relicensed and rebranded as an Explorium Brewpub. Okay. So the Explorium Hospitality Group, and we did that very carefully by design, will consist of 3 Explorium Brewpubs, one of them in Tosa, one in Greendale, one in 3rd Ward. But the other 3 locations are probably going to carry some other branding. The Farwell location, of course, is going to be the center of brewery operations. I mean, that's going to be the hub of brewing. Andy Jones was a partner with Dan and David when, this all started, and he did build an amazing and efficient, when I say amazing, what that really translates to is a very efficient brewery for producing, lots of different beers in big quantities, packaging opportunities. So it's really a very nice, efficient brewery, which is something that we've struggled with a little bit. Our Southridge brewery is not very efficient. It's pretty behind the glass, and you see the brew house and you see 3 fermenters. You don't see the shit show that's downstairs in the basement. That is, another 16 serving tanks and another 8, 9 fermenters. And it's, it's clean and it's an amazing brewery and it's great. But, oh my gosh, as far as efficiency goes, it's kind of a nightmare. I've had other brewers come through and marvel at the engineering feat that it took to fit this brewery in Southridge Mall. But been tough. But you contrast that to the Farwell. That's going to become the center of brewing ops. But it also has a nice kitchen, a comfortable, warm space. We kind of feel that the Farwell location lends itself to a little more upscale concept. Something that kind of harkens back to the original days of Good City when they, had pork belly confit on the menu and curry fries and some amazing other small plate dishes. So I think we're going to lean into more. I actually met Guy Davies yesterday, and we were talking, and Guy was the original chef that created the menu for Good City. Yeah. And I said, hey man, I said, you were probably about 8 years ahead of your time. I said, because you had this great menu and this really nice high-end space with a craft brewery. And then craft beer became this craze, and all these craft beer people came in. I want burgers and I want fries and this and this and this. And your kind of high-end menu kind of went to the wayside while we tried to satisfy this need for, kind of what I'll call the, kind of the craft beer crowd. that, just wanted, quick eats and, we're going to take a bite and we're going to go to the next brewery.
Mhm.
And, it's kind of a shame, but I think that since craft beer has calmed down a bit, I don't think it's going away by any means, but it's calmed down a bit, and you don't have this fervor for the next new beer on tap, and we're having a release party, and we're doing this and this. We don't do
Mhm.
release parties anymore. I think it's kind of time to really take what Guy did 8 years ago and kind of reinsert it and elevate a little bit. Great craft cocktails, great bourbon selection, great tequila selection, a fine wine list. And of course, the center of attention will still be our craft beer, very well made and very diverse tap list. But, to go along with some small plates and quieter, dimmer light, less brewery tap room, more fine dining kind of thing. I think the neighborhood's ready for it. There's a lot of really cool places up and down North Avenue, just north of us on, North and Prospect, like a triple tap room, that Hacienda is doing with Three Sheeps and Door County Brewing. And just south of us on Brady Street, there's plenty of, burger and old fashioned places. I think we could do something kind of in the middle and kind of hit a nerve in the neighborhood and hopefully draw some people in. Deer District, big animal. Don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
They've done the city Mexican kitchen. There you go. There's the gather space up above is a big event space.
Now owned by the Bucks. Yeah.
And it's the interesting thing about the Deer District location is that when the Bucks are playing and there's something going on in the Deer District, it's intensely busy. When there's not Bucks and there's not something else going on in the Deer District, it is dead. It's flatline. There's nothing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And and I've been talking to the Bucks. I mean, they have a whole team that works the Deer District and tries to get activities going on and whatever else. And the one thing we universally recognize is there needs to be some year-round attraction to show up. So they're building a music venue just to the south of the the Fiserv Forum, and there's the MATC is building their new field house across the street. And so this Mexican kitchen concept at Deer District seems like it's got some legs. And I think the cool marriage of craft cocktails and Mexican kitchen and craft beer, let's make Mexican lager that, is fresh and local and natural. So there's some tie-ins. There's some really cool stuff. Actually, my brewers are kind of stoked about, hey, let's lean into our lime lager is supremely popular in the summertime. Perfect at a Mexican joint. So let's maybe lean into the Mexican theme a little bit and see what happens.
So how do you see, do you plan to continue brewing at each of because there's a brewery in each of the Exploriums now.
Yes.
That'll continue.
Yeah. So Wauwatosa will be that we won't have a brewery at Wauwatosa.
Yeah. Do you think that matters to people who are deciding where to go or thinking about about that?
I'm a purist at heart, and I've always said that, hey, a brew pub needs a brewery. That's why even though at Southridge we probably had enough room to have the capacity to support Third Ward without building another brewery. But I like the look of it. I like when somebody goes to a brew pub that they see a brewery and, it's kind of part of it. One thing that a lot of people don't see at Southridge and Third Ward is that, they see the brew house, they see the fermenters, but really the heart of a brew pub is serving tanks. And so,
they're all downstairs.
Yeah, we brew here, 10 barrels goes in a fermenter, and that 10 barrels after it's fermented goes into a 10-barrel tank. That 10-barrel tank is connected right to the tap. That to me is kind of the definition of what makes a brew pub a brew pub. These half-barrel tiny tanks that we move around in the back of a truck and put into a cooler, that's doable. But, what makes a brew pub is having serving tanks and, making beer. But I am the master of the pivot, and I'm the master of adaptation. And adaptation is the way you continue to, serve your customer base and make money. So the Wauwatosa location will not have a brewery. We'll probably put up some brewery artwork and see, images of brewing and whatnot. And I think anybody that calls to question our integrity as a brew pub can simply go down the street 10 minutes and go to our Southridge location or our Third Ward location. I think they're actually kind of equidistant, maybe 12 minutes from Wauwatosa. And they can go stroke the stainless steel equipment that made the beer that's on tap.
Mike, I can almost guarantee that the two people who will ever call you out on that are listening to this right now. So
yeah, that's fair.
This is the right show to kind of fire that shot across the bow. So you and I had a conversation, a capital C conversation for Milwaukee Magazine about the future of beer about, said 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. A while ago.
With Jim McCabe of Milwaukee Brewing Company in his giant new brewery that is now owned by somebody else. And I can't help but think back to that conversation and the setting and the time. This was probably fall of 2019 or late fall, maybe 2019 or maybe 2018 even. Probably 2018, actually.
It was in 2018 or 2019, yeah.
It was 19, okay.
Yeah, and you kind of invited me because I was kind of the new guy and he was kind of the OG.
Yeah, and you were small and he was huge. Yep. And
but
now here we are. That brewery is a pilot
there.
Project, and I remember you walking around that brewery and looking at me and saying, "This brewery is awesome. This is so expensive. That piece of equipment is $25,000." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, no, and you know what? It was interesting because you invited me to talk to Jim. Well, first of all, I have a lot of respect for Jim. I mean, Jim is he is, Jim Klisch, Russ Klisch, Randy Sprecher, and, Jim McCabe. To me, that's kind of the OGs of craft brewing in Milwaukee. And I'm sure I'll get some hate mail, but to me, those are four individuals that I know personally that have created craft beer in Milwaukee. There's probably others, but I don't know them personally, but I know those guys personally. And I have a lot of respect for the groundbreaking work that they did in, opening people's eyes to locally made, fresh, natural. It's like a farmer, raising beef or growing potatoes or growing vegetables and going to the farmer's market and buying, fresh carrots from the farmer at the farmer's market. Right. Jim McCabe and, Jim Klisch and Russ Klisch and, those guys, are they take these agricultural products and they bring them to their brewery, they make a beer, and they, essentially to me, it's like going to the farmer's market and buying this, fresh manna that they've produced, and it hasn't been pasteurized. It hasn't been, there's no chemicals in it. And it's just water, pure water and pure malt, unadulterated, and hops and yeast. And they put it together in a way that's just like, it's awesome, And so I see those guys as the OGs. And for you to invite me to come to Jim's brand new mega brewery built by Sprinkman Engineering, and that place was just insane. It still is. Pilot Project enjoys how insanely amazing that brewery is right now. But at the time, what it struck me is that Chris invited me to come talk to one of the OGs. And, in the end, I met Jim McCabe at his brew pub at the Ale House in the Third Ward before he had even built the Second Street Brewery, which was on 2nd and Bruce, which is now a climbing gym. And I met him probably in 2003 at the Ale House. And actually, my brother Johnny was with me. And my mom and dad and Johnny and my mom and dad were the ones who created Tampa Bay Brewing Company in Tampa. And, my brother was curious. He's looking at the brewery, whatever. And Jim saw him looking in the window. And Jim's like, oh, you're interested in the beer equipment? And my brother's like, yeah, we have a little craft brewery down in Tampa. And so, one thing led to another. And Jim and, his partner ended up having lunch with us. And I got to know him a little bit. We would see him at events. And, I got to know him over the time. But, fast forward, almost 15 years, and I'm opening a brewery, and now I have a brewery open, and you invite me to sit down with Jim to talk about, hey, here's where it's been, here's where I think it's going. And I'd be interested to hear the recording of that meeting. See if
I think there's pretty much an entire transcript of it. I couldn't bring myself to like cut it down. I mean, obviously I had to cut it down for the magazine, but I think there's like the whole thing is still online. And yeah, I mean, the dichotomy of David and I mean, it's hard to call any craft brewer Goliath, but like, I mean, the contrast was really stark in that moment where, we're in this enormous, beautiful brewery with this fancy restaurant right next door, and
my favorite feature is the living wall on the back.
Living wall. It's living on. That's the one thing that made it. So, well, I have a shit ton of news to get to, Mike. I guess one thing that I wanted to close with, and I'm sure that you felt this over the last couple week plus since the announcement, is people get really attached to this, to their breweries and their beers and their all this stuff. Do you have like why? I think we see this with restaurants and bars too, but we don't see it when like a grocery store closes, or like it's why are these businesses, why is beer and breweries and all this stuff so important and emotional for people?
Well, I do think that people get an attachment to I kind of view craft breweries as the gathering place and the kind of the center of community. I mean, a great example, and if you're not familiar with Explorium, I'm going to give you another example in River West, like Black Husky, right? So you have Tim and Tony, they're there all the time. They have this great little craft brewery in River West, and Tim makes some really great beers. And, they're nice people, and you can go in there and, you can have frank conversations with them about why do you put pine branches in this freaking beer? But it tastes really good. And I think people, myself included, I shouldn't talk about people in general. I like going to a place where I know the people, whether it's the owners or the brewer or the bartenders or whatever, and it provides a comfort level, and you get to like enjoy the product. So you get this connection. It's a pretty deep connection that people get with their brewery. And it's been interesting because there has been a few people that have commented online about, how did the worst brewery in Milwaukee buy the best brewery in Milwaukee?
And, you're reading the comments?
Yeah. But that's okay, and I'm okay with that. I respect everybody's opinion. And we all have different opinions on all kinds of things. I mean, I wear big yellow sweatshirts, and I don't need to wear gray and navy blue all the time. But, well, gosh, people have opinions, but they also, they do get attached because of the personal connection. And I think that's something that we've really tried hard to make at our places through our mug club and through really Joan and I just being there a lot. We're spreading ourselves a little thin with a lot of other locations. I respect what, people's opinions, and they have their favorite breweries, and that's great. And I'm sad for some of the people that, want to see Good City just stay what it is. Unfortunately, it has to change. We have to react to the market. We have to give people what they want. And, people want a great Manhattan, and they want a great old fashioned, and they want, sometimes they want tacos, and, smash burgers are just not good enough. And so we just keep pivoting and adjusting and evolving. And you know what? And actually, for my culinary staff, evolving the menu is a lot of fun.
Yeah, right.
We're not Carrabba's and Olive Garden. I mean, let's face it, right? And we don't want to be. If you want that sameness, if you want your big mass-produced salad and your bowl of breadsticks, and you just want to sit there and gnaw down, I mean, that's great, and I respect that. But we just keep evolving and evolving and evolving and growing, and we also like get stuff off our menu that people really like, and we just say, we just have to evolve. So yeah, there's an attachment, and we respect that. And along those lines, we actually sent an email to the Good City email list today, all the subscribers to the Good City email, and just said, hey, respectfully, we're taking over Good City. Like the changes, but you know what? If you don't want to hear from us again, there's an unsubscribe button. Just unsubscribe, and that's cool. We don't take it as disrespect. It's just different strokes for different folks.
Right. Well, Mike, thanks for the. I don't know how I forgot how good of a storyteller you are. I had 10 questions that I didn't even need to ask because you're on them all from the jump. So, thanks so much for coming on. Best of luck with the coming week and months, and sounds like it'll be a process here. So
it's a lot. We've been working a lot of hours, and I think I just want people to know it is a labor of love, and we do love feedback. You know what? The best thing to do to give us feedback, subscribe to our emails. If you get one of our emails from our Explorium Hospitality Group corporate email account, it literally is me writing an email to you. And when you respond to it, it goes to my inbox. So just, tell me what you think, and, tell us how we can adjust to, satisfy. We're not going to take every suggestion we get, because some of them are pretty stupid. But you know what? I mean, sometimes I get customers that point out something that like, wow, that should have been obvious. And, we make adjustments, and we talk to our staff, and, in the end, we treat everybody with kindness and respect, and we want them to do the same to us. And, we'll keep living together, and, and having a good time and sharing a beer. So cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I hope to see you soon over an actual pint. And
absolutely. Yeah. We'll have to get Pete together with us too.
There you go. All right. Thanks so much, Mike. Take care.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
No rest for the wicked, huh?
No, I'm really glad that he talked as much as he did in that interview, because I have got a lot of news. This is going to be the people who hate hearing Drows talk are going to. You might as well just switch it off right now.
The last episode is all draws all the time.
No, we'll clear the deck soon, but we got a lot to talk about, Amanda.
We do. Unfortunately, I mean, we just listened, to Mike talk about taking over another brewery so that we don't have another brewery close.
Yeah.
But really, the latest news has been brewery closings.
It's been pretty bad. Yeah. We the first actual closure in this kind of like most recent run was, and a lot of this is centered on Milwaukee. I don't know if there's a reason for that or what, but the one that kind of started this big stupid run of news was Mobcraft, which closed on November 30th.
Yep.
No news on the future of that space so far at their closing party. And he said it's not really up to him. It's not up to him. Whoever buys it will be buying it from the bank, and that's that. So that's kind of how these things work. And it's also one of the reasons why all this stuff is clustered around January 1st. This is how banks think, is we're going to have a deadline, and January 1st is a pretty obvious one. January and February, we've talked about this a lot on the show, are really difficult months for breweries. So, if a business is underwater coming into those months, there's very little chance that they are going to get their head above that water by the time things kind of start picking up again in March and April. So that's kind of I don't know if that is a direct factor in any of this, but it seems like that's some interesting, I think that's some context to kind of
Sure.
put around all this. All right, so we've got Enlightened Brewing in Milwaukee in Bayview that held its last service on Sunday. This one sucks. They all suck, but this one's really hard. We had co-founders James Larson and Tommy Vandervoort on as our interview on July, not that long ago.
Yeah.
It's tough, I really try to stay away from trying to discern true character with beer people that I know through this way, but man, these sure seem like good guys running a good brewery. They opened Enlightened in 2013 in the second floor space in the Lincoln Warehouse in Bayview. That has continued to host breweries since then. First it was Eagle Park, and then it was Component, and now it's Torzala in that space. And then they moved. Then Enlightened moved to a first floor space in the same building. Now New Barons Brewing, that's kind of right on the corner of that building, and then finally built out a pretty big new brewery a few blocks away. Shoshi, thank you, I love you, baby. Stay down. That location was really nice. You can see it here, spacious and airy. Lots of games and seating with these church pews that were, reclaimed. I was there for a couple of Milwaukee Magazine events that we hosted there, and they were known for good traditional beers. They had nothing too off the wall. No lactose, for example. Good IPA, amber, porter. They had their flagship Cream City Bricks cream ale. I was there Friday, and the beer was great. Great Irish dry stout. Czech dark lager, Imperative was good as always.
Very
and
nice.
Tommy was there, and considering the context, using good spirits, kids running all around is, it's got to be pretty overwhelming to see all of these friends that you've made, memories, people you've created memories with over the last many years, kind of coming to pay their respects. We're gonna miss all these breweries in different ways, but it's this one was a really tough one to lose Enlightened. So there's that. And then right around the same time last weekend, City Lights Brewing, also in Milwaukee. This one's in the Menominee Valley, also closed. City Lights had announced this spring that they would halt. They wouldn't be sending beer to distributors anymore, and they were kind of seeking options for retooling the brewery to continue floating NA beer production, maybe a pivot that I don't know, kind of never made sense to me. But on January 1st, they said in an Instagram post that they'd be closing after the weekend. City Lights was kind of at the tail end of the big brewery boom in Milwaukee that we talked about. They opened in 2017 in a gorgeous, just a beautiful, restored former gasworks building down in the valley, just several blocks west of Third Space Brewing. It was a really nice tap room, good outdoor space, but it was a pretty big brew house, and it was geared toward production and distribution. They scored a huge win in 2019. They took home a GABF silver medal for hazy IPA, and that was just the first year that the style was ever in a GABF contest, and they finished second in the country out of 380 some entries. A lot of these categories are 50 entries or something like that. So it's it's not like it's not an honor, but to beat 380 plus breweries in the hottest style in the country at the time is a really nice feather in their cap. But despite that success, hazy IPA was beer that I always liked and was really good. And their Mexican lager was really good too, but the brand never really caught on. In a post on Reddit after the closing was announced, a former brewer for City Lights laid out a pretty depressing series of kind of quality and process lapses that pointed to, I think, probably more of a decline. A brewery that had been kind of running out of money and was cutting corners to try to stay afloat. And this is now the second failed brewery for the Ghostman family. I don't know if anybody is old enough to remember this one, but Four Brothers Blended Beer, which was a brand that was contract brewed that popped up in 2013 and didn't really go anywhere. It kind of fizzled out after about a year plus. I'm not sure if anybody can see that, but that's the Reddit post by a guy who says that he's, one thing that struck me about this is that, and I think somebody else said this, but it's you can hold these two things simultaneously, like this desire to see your employer succeed and want to thrive and produce the best beer you can, and being totally disheartened by the conditions that you're working under, and ultimately airing this out after the fact, obviously, this is, I think that's to be probably to somebody's credit for sitting on this as long as they did. So so City Lights Brewing, RIP. The rest are not exactly closings. So the other aside from Good City, there was another acquisition, and this one is Sahale Ale Works, which is a small brewery and tap room in Grafton, just north of Milwaukee. Sahale was acquired in December by Gathering Place Brewing of Milwaukee, friend of show, and interesting move for them. This one appears to be like really business as usual for both parties. Gathering Place says that Sahale's founder and head brewer Matt Hoffman is going to continue to lead the beer program there. And he opened Sahale back in 2019. So Sahale will continue as a going concern. There'll be some crossover with beer, maybe a Sahale beer or two at Gathering Place and vice versa. Gathering Place owner Joe Yito, friend of show, said he thought the two beer programs were such a nice fit that an acquisition really made sense, and he wanted to continue the what Sahale was doing there. So another probably probably a factor in this is Joe told me today that the Bayview tap room that they had been working on opening for like 2 years, I think this thing was supposed to be open in 2022, is finally not happening. It was originally envisioned as a food hall by the developer. This is a big space in the first floor of a multi-use building with apartments above it. And there's been so much action in restaurants on Kinnickinnick Avenue in Bayview. I think that maybe the operator or the developer wanted to go a different direction, so they were kind of stuck with this expansion plan that never happened. So here we are, Sahale under the Gathering Place Brewing Hospitality group, perhaps. That's not true. Yeah. And then on Sunday, just this Sunday, this feels like it's been a week.
Yeah.
We had news on a long dormant brewery that Mike actually mentioned in a Milwaukee suburb. That's St. Francis Brewery, which closed in 2019 and has been dormant ever since. And even with that big old grain silo right there, I can't imagine that that's actually in use, but it's had the logo on it, for the 5 years that it's been closed.
Yeah.
On Sunday, a soprano at UW Milwaukee posted on her Facebook that she and her husband were reopening the brewery, we're reopening St. Francis Brewery. I have not seen any interviews with them yet. We're working on that, but the post talks mainly about how excited they are, about how like this is very exciting, we're doing this, and their hospitality credentials, like restaurants and stuff like that. Not really a word about beer. They've said that they're going to be hiring a brewmaster, so it will apparently be an actual brewery, which is cool. And they are aiming for an opening this spring. So that's a pretty quick reboot. But maybe the restaurant will be open by then.
Okay. And I know Joel will talk a little bit more about some of those in his So you know that Ohio meme?
Yeah, the moon and
yeah. So it's all Milwaukee?
No. Or wait, always was. Right? That's how it goes. No, not on Milwaukee. We got a couple
No.
other ones around the state a little bit.
Well, yeah,
So
yeah.
Omnibulous Brewing up in
Ambibulous.
Bibulous.
Ambibulous.
So I just wrote this entirely wrong. The dog's mad at me. I screwed up the thing.
Yeah,
okay.
she should be.
Ambibulous.
Yeah.
Ambibulous.
Ambibulous.
Jeez, that's shoddy. Okay.
I only know it because it's in my neck of the woods.
Yeah,
so.
it's in your neck of the woods, in Altoona, which is a kind of attached to
Eau Claire.
Eau Claire, yeah.
Yeah.
So they close on December 28th, but this is not the end of the run. For
No.
this brewery. Moonridge Brewpub will be taking over soon. It's going to be their second location.
Mhm.
They haven't announced a date yet, but they've been posting saying, yeah, it's coming. So not like a leaving us hanging kind of thing. Moonridge opened in 2015, and they operate a spacious brew pub in the small town of Cornell, which is about 40 miles up the Chippewa River from Altoona.
The Chippewa River.
And they're taking over Ambibulous, which opened in 2019. So 5-year run for Ambibulous, which is not omnibulous.
Which is not omnibulous.
That's one of the things that God is. It's
I think that's omnipotent.
Omnibulous.
Not sure if omnibulous is a word, but it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is southeastern Wisconsin, but it's not Milwaukee. Anybody who says Kenosha's Milwaukee is woof. You're in for one. So
They're
down
from
there,
the north,
we have some news about. Remember our Noggin Brewery?
I heard of them.
The kind of zombie in a hat or whatever they got. Not zombie.
Yeah.
Like a skeleton kind of deal. Okay, baby. Yeah, I love you. Okay. That's a dog. So this place is our Noggin is just off of I-94 outside of Kenosha. And they announced last year that they would be closing at an undetermined date sometime this fall, winter. And now it appears that the Last Ditch Watering Hole, which is a bar nearby, is going to be taking over the space and the brewery. So this post, which you can see here, check out that logo. There's the Arnoggin skeleton, dapper as ever.
Yeah.
With the riding that's a rooster, I guess. That's the Last Ditch kind of branding there. So they're gonna. They're saying that the Kevin, who's the brewer at Arnoggin, quote, will continue to craft Arnoggin brews to add to the Ditch tap list. So while the setup and branding itself is a little unclear to me, at least, it does appear that this will remain a brewery, and it does appear that some Arnoggin beers at least will continue to be made by the Last Ditch folks. So that's cool.
Very good. Yeah. And so to round out our news for the last Badger Beer Hours, which is what we're we're getting on, we're going to end with non-depressing news, right?
Yeah, we got a couple here.
Okay.
How about a pro athlete beer collab? Those are always fun.
You bet.
I got to plug in, make sure I'm not going to die here. All right, there we go. This would be Broken Bat Brewing, easy for me to say, of Milwaukee, with and they're making a beer called Green Light, which is a cream ale that is the signature beer of that fella right there. That's Milwaukee Bucks star AJ Green, Giannis, Dame, AJ Green. He's the third of the big three, right?
Sure.
No, but he's been a pretty valuable role player this season, and the Green Light is an allusion to his sharpshooting prowess. This little collab launches January 16th at the brewery in Milwaukee's 3rd Ward, and you can meet AJ right there. I don't know if he's going to be wearing his backpack, but he'll be at the brewery to greet folks, and you can have a Green Light with Mr. Green Light himself. And then this is a very late breaking addition to the news here, but we've got a brewery launch. Can you believe it?
Wow.
And this is kind of an interesting one. It's kind of a Wisconsin brewery, kind of not. It's an NA brand called Mash Gang, and it's based in the UK, but they have been producing at Pilot Project in Milwaukee for at least 6 months, I think. When Greg and I went to Pilot Project Fest back in, when was that, Greg? Like September? I think it was in September. They were pouring, and I had a few of these NA beers, and that was interesting. They're launching with 4 brands. Are these the 4? They've got Chug, which is a juicy IPA, non-alcoholic. Once again,
Mm-hmm.
they've got Glug, which is a classic cerveza, which I'm taking to mean a Mexican lager. They've got Journey Juice, a mango IPA, and they've got Lesser Evil, which is a limited edition chocolate cherry stout. So you can, just in time, maybe, for dry January, you can check out a new Wisconsin-made NA line called Mash Gang.
Okay.
And I think that is Badger Beer Hour news for January and December, kind of. Greg, what's up? What are you doing here?
No.
That's not it?
There's Joel. You forgot Joel.
I don't forget Joel. I always think of him as his own segment.
Yeah, and I think you said that same line, like
I know. We need to.
And I get, like, I don't have my Badger Beer travels this month, so that's that's part of it. But
that's right.
You guys can kind of just stay up for this too, though, because normally I do the Badger Beer Brewery report, and Greg and I kind of talked about instead of just doing the normal thing, we were going to kind of do an annual review to kind of look back on this past year and see how things have kind of shook out in the grand scheme of things. So just a kind of reminder of folks for, things that we saw opening up this past year. If you are looking at a lot of those names, you will notice that a majority of them are for secondary and additional locations, some brewing, some just tap rooms. But that has seemingly been the trend here in 2024. Well, now, coming into 2025. I do want to highlight for sure, though, the North Pillar opening out in Waukesha. I was blown away with my first visit right after I visited, I think it was like 2 weeks after they opened, just making phenomenal stuff. I've talked with them at a couple different festivals. I'm actually looking at doing a book event out there at some point, maybe this spring. They make just great beer. I know we obviously covered Modicum when they opened up there in Eau Claire, and there's been a lot of other really interesting openings. I think for my perspective, the interesting one was certainly Pal's Brewing opening up in the Dells. I know I talked about that when it happened, being from Nebraska, and that they were one of my milestone visits, and I got to talk with them, and great folks, and just a very different move than what you typically would see from a brewery like that to open up, not even remotely close to where the original location is.
Right.
And then we obviously had the Triple Tap Room come in. We had a lot of other Milwaukee local breweries open up locations kind of in the suburbs. You had 1840, Venture, Third Space. You had Eagle Park opening up the MKE Tap Room. So a lot of movement with all those kind of things. And I don't know if were there any highlights for you guys seeing. I landed, I would assume, getting to see Modicum coming back was certainly up there.
Yeah, Modicum is great. Essentially, everybody thought that they were dead, done, never coming back, and then it just seemed to all happen like right out of the blue. So it's been great. They've been busy.
It seems like a cool location too for them too there. Yeah,
it's a little smaller than their previous location, but I think it's just as popular as it was before.
Yeah.
So business just as good as ever, I think.
Yeah. Well, and we'll see, like I said, here in 2025, if we see similar, obviously we already kind of are, we just talked to Mike, with Explorium, and some of these other, acquisitions. And I think that is continuing to be a trend. The breweries that are having success being able to expand, and the breweries that aren't are shutting doors. And Greg, you popped in here. Did you have anything that was a highlight for you?
Yeah. So Lone Girl opened up a new space here, and the pizza's pretty good there. I can Lone Girl beers are there, and the pizza's pretty good. I can confirm there. I dipped into Minocqua Brewing. It's a decent space there on East Washington, right next to Trixie's. And I was impressed by North Pillar, like you said, Joel. We had their beers at the Pilot Project Fest. And I'd like to hear what Landon has to say about I'm pretty sure Landon dipped into Bloomer, right, Landon? And do you know anything about Half Fast?
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, that's the other new one for people that may not know. That was the other truly fully new.
Yeah, like opening. as far as like new breweries, period, it's just like North Pillar and Half Fast, right?
Really, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bloomer's the second location. They don't actually brew. It's downtown here in Eau Claire. They share a combined space with a coffee shop. So the coffee shop runs in half of it during the day, and then they shut down, and the brewery opens, or I should say the tap room opens at night. They kind of went with they've installed a system where it pours from the bottom up. So it's kind of a gimmicky type thing. I drive by, I don't go in very often, but I drive by and I notice that there isn't a ton of people there. So the beer, I would describe Bloomer beer as it does very well in Bloomer because Bloomer is outside of the city. Bloomer is a small town. And it does fine there. Their original location does fine. I don't know if it's catching on quite yet in Eau Claire. So I hope the Ryan, their owner, is a really nice guy. So I hope that at some point it does, but I don't know how well they're doing yet. Half Fast, what I do know about them, I have not visited yet. It is veteran owned. It's in a very small town. The small town folks seem to be embracing them. So I look forward to going and visiting them pretty soon. It's probably a 50-mile drive from here, maybe 40 miles.
Yeah, it's in Spring Valley, which is
it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, not really close to anything. I remember when we covered that opening, we're like, yeah, it's kind of, that's great. Like, we love seeing the breweries come into these locations that don't have anything else near them. Because there's certainly up in that part of the state, there's certainly a lot of the, kind of deserts where there's not really a whole lot of local beer being brewed.
Right.
So,
right.
I think that's great. And like I said, I would love to get up there at some point. That, like I said, that was the other kind of true opening that we had. And then, Greg here. Oh, hold on, Greg. I'll go back. What else did you have?
Yeah. One more I want to comment on real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's Third Space. I'm really excited about that one because I've pretty much, I know I've said on my other stream, but I'm pretty sure I said here, one of my biggest critiques of Third Space is that I feel that they're too safe sometimes as a brewery. I mean, everything is good there, don't get me wrong, but they don't, I don't feel that they, especially in their main one, they took a lot of like risk or did some crazy things. Now they just added this place where they're going to take risk and do crazy things. So I'm quote crazy things. So I'm excited for that for them. And I'm excited for their brand for that because I think they would excel in that area, because they're just good at what they do. So
well, and I'm excited for Menominee Falls. I mean, like I think we talked about at the time, like that side of the city in terms of the suburbs does not have a whole lot going on right now.
Woefully underrepresented.
Yeah, I think that's a great decision.
Yeah, I actually got out there. What was that, a couple weeks ago now? Over the holidays, and it was nice. I would not characterize the beer as taking a lot of chances yet. They have a lot of beers, but it's not, you're not seeing like a bad shit, crazy. not to use
that's the next slide, Chris.
Not to use one from the next slide. I know
that's the next slide, Chris.
Chris has been cussing. Chris is cussing every single segment so far.
Who's gonna send us letters? We're shutting that email down. We're not. Let it
okay,
rip.
Joel, you can move on now.
Yeah, no, I do. When I went there, I was going to say I do concur with Chris that it was pretty much what you would see at their other location was what was on tap in Menominee Falls. But I do think that eventually, we will see some of that transition. So, breweries we will miss. This is obviously the sad slide of this show. We have seen many favorites and breweries that have closed their doors in 2024. Some, like a Baloba it was not for any other reason other than the owners deciding to, call it a day. And others that, were kind of out of the blue that we didn't expect. But I kind of, like I said, I wanted to have all you guys on here so that we could, say anything, any last thoughts you had on a lot of these breweries. I mean, for me, Enlightened's Cream City Bricks is one of my favorite kind of everyday drinkers. My neighbors also have it all the time, and so that's one of the beers that I have quite often. And when I moved here in 2016, I was really into sour ales, and Mobcraft was at that point really one of the only breweries that was producing sour ales. And so they always had kind of a soft spot in my heart because of that. I have a buddy who lived a block from Company. So I was there, several times. I was disappointed also with the Herbery there in Madison because, they were such a unique venue and a unique, what they were doing was so unique that I was hoping that they would find success. And unfortunately that obviously was not the case. And yeah, in Sabbatical, I was a big fan of them when I visited as well. So I'll open the floor now. If any of you guys, I like the beer Black Rose also, but if any of you guys have any thoughts on any of these breweries, this kind of, the true last, I know we do last call at the end of the show, but this is also kind of last call for, being able to talk about a lot of these breweries.
I mean, Bull Falls, I don't think anybody's going to talk about them because they've it's kind of an older brand, and I think they opened in 2008 or something. And
weird location too.
Yeah, but they had like, they were making like kind of old school lagers and halves and stuff kind of before it was cool. And I think they were distributing in I think all three big markets, in the state, at least for a while. So it's tough to see that. And Mobcraft, there's a lot of self-inflicted wounds there, over the years, but they really had some good beers. Like I think I had my last fish fry rye on New Year's Eve, and I'll miss that beer. That's a cool beer. Their barrel aged stuff was pretty much always good. You mentioned their sour program.
Yep.
I mean, like traditional, wild and funky sours.
Low funk. Yeah.
And then low funk. I mean, that beer did not get enough credit for what it was. That's basically a Solera, wood, wild fermented, golden ale, super light, crushable, little bit of funk.
That was the beer that I got all the time.
I mean, and then they just kind of propagated it within this. I mean, what a cool idea. It's the kind of beer that I think is why we love craft breweries, like this true innovation and different ideas and trying something. And not just that, but like, it was good. Like that was a great golf course beer. I was gonna say, I actually lived in Denver I know that they weren't open in Denver for all that long, but I lived a block and a half from that location in Denver when we were there. So I got to go over there, meet the guys, and they gave me one of the because they were in town, and they gave me one of the advent calendars at that point, and it was just a fun little spot. They had they were working with the taco shop. It was just kind of an odd location where they were close to Rhino but not in Rhino, and so all the other breweries were like not right near them, so they were kind of off on their own. But yeah, so that was one that was a bummer to see.
It was Valkyrie for me. They'd been open since 1994. They were the last couple in the brewing business in Wisconsin that were named Randy and Ann. As you know, Randy and Ann Sprecher. So there was Randy and Ann. It was a little disappointing that, and nobody ended up buying it either. I mean, Dallas, Wisconsin, there isn't a lot to attract somebody to open a brewery there, or at least take over a brewery there. So great little spot. It kind of held the town together. But yeah, disappointing nonetheless.
And nothing to say about K Point, Landon?
K Point was fine for what it was. When they came around, they were like in the beginning of the craft beer boom, I guess. The very beginning of it, in whatever year that was. They were fine, but they never really adjusted. How everybody just kept growing, beers just kept getting better, things were different. Everything just kind of stayed the same. So, I love the people that own K Point, but I don't really miss the beer.
K Point opened in 2015, according to Kevin Revlinsky.
Okay.
Look at that. So I'll jump in here. So obviously the end of Black Rose was notable.
Yeah.
So we'll say that. I have to shout out Parched Eagle, as this is the only place on here that I've actually worked at. Shout out to Jim Grolison. His hop bearer was the IPA. It rivaled Fantasy Factory here for a while, and the IPA that's not an IPA, Hopalicious. But Parched Eagle was great. It was great. It was a microbrewery. It stayed one the whole time. It was just a really small, with all due respect, hole in the wall brewery. It was fantastic. If there was a dive brewery, and I mean it in an adoring term, it would be the Parched Eagle. So shout out to the Parched Eagle. The Herbery is everything that Joel said, and it's sad to see it go. Mobcraft, Chris said what he said about that one. And Company had one of the best brunches in Wisconsin, period.
Yeah, Company was a place that, we talked about. Can I jump in just on Company quick?
Yeah.
Company was, we talk about like the small, like a brewery holding small towns together. Company was really a community center and hub for River West, the Milwaukee neighborhood that it's in, along with, it's just down the street from Black Husky.
Black Husky, yes.
Yep. Black what? Yeah.
Husky.
And great food, tons of live music, and like events that are like off, like everybody's got a trivia night or, karaoke or something, but like they always had like, like book fairs and, stuff that was like community building.
Sure.
In a way that you don't see at a lot of breweries. So
yeah.
That's what I think about when when I think about Company. And good beer too. Poor Farm Pills, which they were making under contract for 6-packs and stuff. That was a heck of a beer. It hurts to say stuff like that, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, Joe, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, obviously a lot of names on here that we would have loved to see continue. But
and of course,
that's the nature of business.
We talked about Enlightened too. I don't want to let.
Yeah. I mean, I already said the Cream City Bricks is one of the beers that I bought the most of whenever I was home. So here is where we currently stand with the updated numbers and everything with the breweries, additional locations. We've been covering this every month, and the breakdown by county. Nothing has really changed in that regard that, should be surprising to folks, Milwaukee and Dane. Yeah. What's up?
When you're done, go back to the last one, please.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the map has not changed a whole lot because again, the movement that we've seen in Milwaukee, like Milwaukee is still going to be the primary brewery hub, followed by Dane County, even with the closures. So, that is where we currently stand.
That's cool. Thank you.
Yep.
And that?
There we go.
Oh, wait. Is it?
Oh,
wait, is
it? Can't even really do it anymore. I don't know. I already did it.
Okay.
Yeah, just cut us off, Greg.
What's up, Landon? Slow time of the year, right? Slow time.
It is. You would think it eventually people in Wisconsin would just embrace the fact that it's going to be cold and snowy or not. I mean, depending on where you are in the state, you may not even have any snow on the ground. It is cold, but people want to be inside, music or something,
Right. But the stats show that it's not stopping our drinking. So we're drinking somewhere. It's just at home.
Right. That must be.
Well, y'all should jump out or something, y'all.
Something.
This is the first one that Landon has. Oh, this is a lead up to an event here.
Yeah. So Friday, January 17th, 5 to close. They're doing a beer and cheese eve. at Forward Craft and Coffee. So they're featuring Venture Brew Co., Fair State, which happens to be out of this Minneapolis, Copper State, Earth Rider, which is out of Superior, Ope, and Sketchbook. So you can do a meet and greet with the brewers, owners, and reps, swag giveaways, special beer, and cheese dip release.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the night before this crazy looking event.
Yeah. I haven't figured out. I tried to dig into this a little bit to figure out what the deal is with the aliens. But I don't know. Beer, Cheese, and Beyond Fest. Those of us that live in Wisconsin embrace beer and cheese, and if you don't, you get accosted. Yeah.
I don't.
So this is apparently the 15th annual Beer, Cheese, and Beyond Fest. I've never gone, never heard of it until this year. But yeah, so they're going to have all sorts of beer, all sorts of cheese, wine, seltzers, NA options, all the good stuff. So Saturday, January 18th, join them to go where no fest has gone before.
It's the Beer and Cheese Fest, but it's a good one. Y'all hit it up. It looks like it's going to be super duper weird, so that's good.
Hey, weird's great.
Weird
Embrace the weird. Embrace the weird. Yeah.
So next we have, I think, what is this one?
So I love when little towns do their thing and actually advertise it. You can tell this is like a little town, a little event, and I love it. Mayville, of course, the Rotary Club is having their Rock River Beer Fest on January 25th. They're going to have live entertainment. What is that? Something that's live, and it's going to be entertaining. Free food from local vendors, and of course, delicious beers. Admission starts at 2:00, and the event lasts until 6:00, so you can get home and put your teeth in the glass by 7:00. In Mayville. Yes.
This is a little preview of what Badger Beer Report's gonna look like, y'all. It's gonna be a little bit of spice.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, not that we're not having fun here, but we're gonna have
a lot more fun.
Yeah. Little spice, y'all. So that's in what is that, Riverfest? Is that what that was called?
No, it's in Mayville, Wisconsin. If I knew where the heck that was, I could probably look it up because I have internet here.
Yeah, Rock River Beer Fest. Okay, there you go.
Mayville, Wisconsin.
All right.
Where's that even?
Oh, and look at this. The Ice Bear Fest. This is our friends at Space, isn't it?
Yeah. Hold on, I'll get back to that. Yeah. So if you love the 80s, you didn't necessarily have to live through the 80s. DJ Rick.
Representing Ice
there
Bear
you go.
Fest.
Ice Bear Fest. Yeah.
2024 Ice Bear.
I can honestly say I've had Ice Bear before. I've never been to Ice Bear Fest. DJ Rick. Everybody knows DJ Rick. He's spinning all the best 80s hits from 12 to 5. Mixtape, the ultimate 80s cover band, will rock the stage from 5 to 7. 80s ski costume contest, an unofficial dance contest. Dressed in your best retro ski gear. Good luck finding that stuff. You have to pay extra for that stuff these days. They'll have food trucks, and tacos and tots, shot skis and hot toddies, all the good stuff. Ice Bear Fest, January 25th.
Yeah, I don't know who could sell it better. I'm in. I just got to
pay me to advertise for Ice Bear Fest.
Right.
Right.
They should just send you Ice Bear instead of sending it to Chris.
I'd take some Ice Bear, sure.
Instead of sending it to Chris. What, Chris? What?
I buy beer. Like, this is just...
Whatever. Anyway. Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever, man.
So we got the Manitowoc
Yeah, coming
Winter
up in
Beer
February.
Fest.
You gotta plan for this one, Manitowoc.
Oh, okay. This is you might hear that we might talk about this one again coming up here, but
It might have some more details later on, but yeah, beer fun and community. Of course, if the Rotary's putting it on, it's going to be all about community. So they're going to have 25 plus breweries, ciders, mocktails, coffee, cheese, and much more. All of the proceeds from that will go to local nonprofits. Yes, sir.
All right. And then, on the horizon, y'all, we have another one here. This looks fun. What's this one, Landon?
I don't know. I didn't put that one in there.
Oh, look at that. The lovely production value here. Yeah. So,
but as we all know, going into spring, things start warming up. Events start happening more often. Even with the new format that we're going to have, still, we'd love to know your events. So there's plenty of ways of getting a hold of us, letting us know about your event. Other than me trying to, peruse Facebook and find your event, it'd just be easier if you just told us about it.
Absolutely. And lastly, before we get to the last call here, the final last call, how about we make it an event just to go to your brewery? It's January. It is the worst time of the year for them. People are doing dry January, and if that's what you want to do, you go right ahead. But this is costing our breweries. So if you're going to do dry January, I'm betting that your brewery has some options for that. I know most of them do. So, and if you're not, this is the time to imbibe, y'all. Like, we're in Wisconsin, so just grab some and go home. Y'all have to go out for groceries. We all do. Don't lie. So when you're out there, dip into your brewery, grab a 4-pack, take it home, and watch the Packers in the playoffs. I'm not going to say anything more than that because my email might get blown up. So I'm not gonna. And Landon, you are not gonna say anything.
I ain't gonna touch it.
We're just gonna do this. Check us out, y'all. It's Badger Beer Report. Landon and I will be doing monthly, if not daily, sometimes updates on our website and via maybe this platform, maybe live, maybe via podcast. For sure, via podcast. And we'll see you on the last call right here. Welcome to the final last call of the Badger Beer Hour live stream monthly. It was fun, y'all. It was a good run. So we have some events coming up. We have all kinds of crazy shit coming on. Well, let's start the crazy shit with Joel, because Joel's been literally running around the country selling books.
Yeah, I mean, technically, but I mean, I wasn't around the country. Makes it seem like I was doing it just for the book, but I was visiting family, and I happened to be able to know people so that I could go sell books at a brewery while I was visiting family in California.
That's a lot more selling of books across the country than I did.
Yeah, I mean, I've done did an event in Iowa too, and I do want it. Well, I'll start off with first though here, thanking Chris for being there for the book kickoff on January 17th at Lakefront. I don't know what Chris thought, but I thought it went really well. We had a couple dozen people there for sure, and everyone was super engaged with the Q&A and asking a bunch of questions. We didn't even get through questions from the online stuff because people kept asking questions from the audience. So that was really, really cool. Couldn't have asked for a better audience for that. And that was a lot of fun. And obviously getting to do it at Lakefront for the kickoff was special. And then coming up here, if you missed those events, I have another book signing coming up here. It'd be a week from tomorrow on January 16th at one of my personal favorite breweries in the area, Supermoon Beer Company. So that is going to be exciting at 6:30 p.m. on the 16th. It's a Thursday evening. Come out, hang out, this is one of those places that even if you don't want to buy a book, I say just come to drink the beer there. You won't regret it. And then if you drink enough beers, maybe you'll buy a book, on accident. So who knows? But after that, though, later on, so I have events in Chicago scheduled the next week, but we're Badger Beer Hour. We're not, what's Illinois' nickname? I don't even know. We don't care about that. However, the following week, February 1st, I am going to be in Madison with Greg, and we'll be doing 2 separate events in different parts and different sides of Madison. One at Delta Beer Lab earlier on in the afternoon, and then spending the evening at our friends at Giant Jones Brewing. So we'll be kind of doing the similar thing with Q&As, and, meet and greets, and it's, Greg's going to help with that, so, eventually Landon's probably going to get roped into this somehow, because obviously Chris Chris started off, and now Greg's doing it. So, but I appreciate doing this, and these are going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about returning to these breweries, and getting to, meet up with hopefully a lot of familiar faces and some new folks. I mean, that's been part of the fun of this. Is I actually had people, out in California too. I had people that I, maybe had followed me or whatever that I hadn't met in person before coming out to buy a book. And that was really cool. So yeah, those are kind of the big upcoming stuff. I'll have more down the road. I know in Green Bay, and hopefully more in the Fox River Valley, and maybe some other stuff going along here more locally. But yeah, I hope if you're in the Madison area, would love to see you February 1st. And like I said, that's why we kind of did the 2 events in different parts of Madison at different times of the day. So that way we can hopefully catch a lot of people. But yeah, that's kind of.
Can I just say something, Joel?
Yeah.
Like I think, these events are, like, if you're listening to this, you like talking about beer and hearing about beer. And I think the great thing about this book is Joel has just such this voluminous knowledge of so many different breweries, but it's also about like how to do breweries, like how to visit a brewery, what to ask, and what to like the questions to ask, what to look for. Like, are you in a good brewery or not? I think all that stuff is in the book, and
yeah.
You'll be talking about that kind of stuff too, or with
and it's just questions. And like I said, and it's just fun to come out and talk, because again, I love talking about this stuff. Even if you don't end up buying a book, just talking about it with I enjoy this. Obviously, I'm very passionate about this topic and getting to share my experiences with people. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, even whether it's a more laid back event or whether we're doing like a true Q&A like we are hopefully doing again in Madison, it's a lot of fun. Getting to chat with folks. And yeah, so hopefully we'll see some of the listeners there, and again, this will also be the first time me and Greg actually meet in person, believe it or not.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So that is a true milestone, for us as well. And we're going to be together for the full day, so we better like each other.
If you come out and meet Joel, you'll discover that he's not actually as pale as he looks right now.
Yeah. The lighting in the house is, although I'm pretty, I wouldn't give him any promises.
Yeah.
Let's not get them too excited.
He's not the undead member of our team.
Yeah. Let's not get him too excited though, Chris.
Sorry, dude.
No, I'm
hey,
there with you, man.
Squirrely. It's the last show. We're getting squirrely.
Yeah. Getting squirrely, man.
All right. Chris, what's going on?
I don't know if I really got anything for this. I don't know. Nah. I mean, I'm just excited about Badger Beer Report and getting going with that. I don't know if we want to talk about that at all, but I mean, that's where my attention is right now.
This is your time to talk, so speak on it.
Well, I mean, what we're doing is kind of unbundling. Think of this as all your different streaming services, all bundled into one plan that's called the Badger Beer Hour. Well, now instead of subscribing to one thing, you can subscribe to all these different little things that have, like, I love watching Severance, which is the Badger Beer Hour news. Well, I don't want to wait through the boring events or the interviews. So, God, he goes on and on, this guy. Or I just love the events, but the Drosner guy just the whole first half of the show is just him blabbing about things, beer things. Well, this is all going to kind of like separate all those things out into, I think there'll be a lot more digestible chunks. We understand that, and there's a nice bit that we have of Badger Beer Hours, and I think that, it's hard to keep anybody's attention for this long. And if you have been listening this whole time, that's really impressive. Thank you. But you won't have to, starting when Badger Beer Report launches. And we'll still be in all the same channels that this show is in. It'll just be in a little bit faster, bite-sized pieces. I'm going to try to like keep it tight.
I'll believe it when I
not
see
have,
it.
a 6-minute news story about, whatever it is, and give it to you a little bit faster, certainly more timely. Obviously, a lot of this stuff happened. I mean, well, it's been an interesting week plus, but so it's been timely here. But sometimes there's something that breaks right after our show, and we have to wait a month for it. And I do enough of that at work with the magazine. I don't really want to do that with the Badger Beer Report. So we're gonna. I think you'll see more timely reporting.
Yep.
Analysis that we kind of can't really do in the when we have to wait. The event segment and interview segments will still continue, but they'll be kind of on their own schedule, kind of spaced out over the month. So, more and better.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So I don't even know if y'all have seen this page yet. I created this page 3 days ago, but this is actually, as y'all can see, it's our podcast branding. And this is actually what I have as far as how it's going to look possibly, y'all. So as far as different ones that we'll have, as I said, I don't know. The guys can say it right here, but I don't know how many of them I've seen this. I just started the thing. My point is that this is the structure of it, or the start of it. Since they haven't seen it, it's definitely subject to change, y'all. But it's definitely something. It's definitely the start of what the podcast will look like in the future.
Yeah, and I kind of glossed over that aspect of it. Like, we will be in the podcast platforms with this content as well. So that's something that we are not, I believe, right now. So, you'll be able to listen to Landon's dulcet tones crooning his way through the event.
That's the only reason I tune in.
While you're walking the dog or whatever. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good change for everybody.
Much better than looking at my face.
So we're going to look at your face now, because you're going to tell us what's going on before we have another announcement.
Not as far as Taproom Traveler stuff is going. I'm hoping, because I am a dad of a 15-year-old that's in club volleyball that has to travel to Minneapolis often, that I'll finally get to visit some of those Minneapolis breweries that I've been wanting to do for, it seems like, 5 years now. So I'm going to be doing some little highlight videos on those, assuming that I actually get to visit them. I will be in Minneapolis early and often, but 15 and 16-year-olds keep you really busy. So that's what's going on.
So I already know. Brewery report, Joel. What's that mean?
Well, no, I just didn't see it on the list.
What does that mean?
Like, where you're including that. That's why I put it in the chat, because I figured that would just be something that you were going to tell me later.
Oh, it's not on that list. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I was like, this list is subject to change, y'all.
Like he said, none of us had seen this yet, so.
Right. But I just wanted to give a little bit more context to what Chris was saying about the little pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the editorial process.
Obviously, a big piece of the little piece is going to be brewery report.
And just so people know, because I did include this too, the rebrand has taken place on all the different platforms. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. You can now find us as Badger Beer Report. If you were already following us, you don't have to go re-find us or anything on any of these platforms. But if you are a new listener and you want to make sure to follow along, you will be searching for Badger Beer Report now and not Badger Beer Hour. So that is just the one clarification. And I believe at some point, just so you are aware, if you are looking at these pictures of the logo, that may be changing here down the road. So if you see something different, just don't be surprised by that. Just make sure that you are following the right name.
Well,
I guess you could say.
Yeah, should we show that, guys, or what? I forgot to ask y'all.
That's not my call.
No. It's our call. We're
rig.
gonna do it right here, right now. Do y'all approve or not?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Chris, you cool
Here,
with the unfinished?
I would say it's mostly finished.
There's some tweaks, but it's pretty much,
Yeah, we'll be good.
All right. Okay, y'all. Cool. So hold on before we do all that, we have. Let's see. Can we? Jesus, what I want. All right. Let's see here. So a lot of things going on here, y'all. A lot of moving parts. One of the moving parts here is I need to share my screen and let y'all know that one of the new additions to Badger Beer Report will be the addition of our friend Garth from Garth's Beer Bar. He will be joining us and adding content to our said wonderful project here. Garth's Beer Bar is in Madison, Wisconsin. Garth has a vast knowledge, probably even more than I, of the Madison beer scene, what's going on, what people are drinking. So he's going to bring all of that to our wonderful content here.
And another place that a book event may take place down the road in like the springtime as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yay, Garth. I'm excited about that.
So there's that one. The logo. I can do this, right? Yeah,
I hope so.
It was
None of us can.
Main, wasn't it? Let's see here, and then let's see. It was the third one, right, y'all? It wasn't in there.
I need to go try to search the messages quick.
Oh, here it is. It was the third one, which was, I think, this one.
We're going to roll it out.
It's going to be close enough.
Yeah, you're going to get the gist of it.
Be mostly that.
Minimum.
I love
there's
this.
So much build up here.
I love this on the screen, on real time.
A drum roll.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure this is the right one. And if not, my colleagues will mock me forever. But
yeah.
So
there we go.
That's where we're at, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And so
our new logo, yay.
So that when I was saying that you may see a different picture with the name on all the platforms, that or you will hopefully be the picture that you are looking for.
Something very similar, at least.
Yes. It will be, if there are any changes, they will be so minimum that you probably won't even notice them.
Right. Excellent.
Boom.
Looks great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all of y'all's input helped, and so that's great. Shout out to our unnamed but very, very what's the word I'm looking for?
Talented
and grateful, and because he gets paid in beer, y'all. Inside ball.
I mean, is there a better way?
I mean, I've done a lot of jobs for beer. Let's be honest.
I mean, that's how they came over in the Mayflowers. They got paid. Right. A lot of those workers got paid by a gallon of beer or whatever. So that's kind of the OG.
Are we fact checking Badger Beer Report, or is that even true?
Yeah, you want me to go pull from my book? Did you know that the original beer barrel cooper, the original beer barrel cooper from the Mayflower, his 10th great grandson opened a brewery in Plymouth, Massachusetts. There you go.
Plymouth was
direct descendant. No.
Did that turn into Notch? I'm like,
no. It's called Mayflower Brewing Company. Because I think he kind of knew that playing into that name was going to be smart. So. Because they have that small rock there on the shoreline that is a complete joke of a tourist attraction.
Okay, all right. Cut him off.
You said we were supposed to be more fun, right?
All right.
Yeah.
You can't just
Chris.
a national landmark. Come on.
Have you been to it before?
I've seen pictures of it. I don't need to go.
No, it is disappointing.
The pictures look disappointing.
Yeah, no,
it's not like this huge thing that they get off. They
I could probably pick. I feel like I could pick it up if I needed to.
I think you could find. I think you could find a rock that looks the same out in a field somewhere.
I think you did just kick it, like metaphorically,
All right. Well. We're gonna get to what I'm doing here, and then we got another announcement.
We got this is a good one.
So, this one's happening on Friday on our Discord. We have Sarge from the Cryptic Cocktail Party. What is the Cryptic Cocktail Party? It is some crazy podcast about some crazy conspiracies. There's a lot of weird, strange stories going around, y'all, and it's just a really good time to have him. He's hilarious, and we'll have him on Discord this Friday, y'all. So the thing that I really have been wanting to talk about, and I've held myself back on social media, I'm pretty sure for the most part, even though I wanted to go scream and holler about it, is this afternoon we've confirmed that we will be doing a collaboration beer with Gathering Place Brewing Company for Lager and Friends.
Very exciting.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Are we calling it Landon's
There we go.
Lager?
That's the better clap.
Yeah, the Landon's Lager, right? Isn't that what we discussed the name?
Yeah.
So the details are, y'all, we're collaborating with on a beer with Gathering Place Brewing Company for Lager and Friends. That at this point is the only time that this beer will be available. So I think it's going to open up. It's going to be brewed and put in kegs, no distribution, no cans. So you have to go to Lager and Friends. At this point, there might be other events, or it might show up at other places, like, there are other breweries and brew pubs that they got. But at this point, you just can only get it at Lager and Friends. So when it opens up or expands, we'll let you know. So with that being said, y'all, real quick, the tickets are on sale right now. The website, when I went there today, y'all, said early bird pricing till January 1st, and then it says regular ticket $40. So I'm not sure if those are early bird or not, but whatever, y'all, get over there. You got plenty of time, even if you're not in Milwaukee, to plan to come, like I will be.
And I'll just say, like, $40 for this festival is a steal. Like, this is a really good event, and I'm really looking forward to being able to go again, because I couldn't go last year because my dad's birthday. But yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the wonderful things about this, and we'll be talking about this until May, y'all, so get used to it. But one of the things that I love about this event is that Chris and I really, really, really like this one. Like, this isn't like, again, we like a lot of events we go to, but like for us to partner with this specific event, it's a small event, y'all. It's not like the Great Taste or Barrel Flow or the GBAF or any of that. It's small, y'all, and it's really nice that it's small, and the beers are nice, and Gathering Place does a great job at hosting. So Chris went one of the first years, or if not the first year, was like, dude, you gotta go. And then I went, I'm pretty sure the next year, or I went the year after. Either way, I went only.
The second year was pandemic canceled. Third year was pandemic virtual, and then fourth year was, I think.
Either way,
right. Yeah.
Either way, I went because Chris told me to go. It's the point.
We went. Yeah, it was good.
And then I loved it. So then after that, the collaboration happened. So it's definitely something that we love ourselves that we're promoting. It's not just something that we're just promoting. So let's just start there. But anyway, Chris, you had something else more to say, or everybody gets time to talk about this wonderful collab, or if y'all want to add to the details of it.
I have nothing to add. I'm excited.
Are we going to hint at what it could possibly be, or are we going to let folks run their imaginations on this?
No. Let's get it out there. I mean, we can pretty much say everything I told y'all in the group. Joe confirmed all that shit, so all that we can say. It's up to y'all. I don't care.
Well, go ahead, Joel.
Well, no, I was going to say we've discussed doing a dark lager, possibly a Czech dark lager. But I mean, we have other options as well. I know that's something that we kind of all discuss. I mean, we all love lagers. I mean, when I do a lot of these different events, it basically turns into a lager event for me half the time.
That's true.
Because the majority of the beers I drink at like Great Taste and stuff are lagers. So that's what I love the most. So I think getting to do this is a true, it's a really cool opportunity. And I feel like doing a dark lager for this event where, we're still kind of, we might be getting a little bit warmer, but I feel like doing a dark lager is going to be a really good fit for it, and hopefully makes it stick out, and should be a really, really fun project for us to work on in the coming.
Absolutely.
And shout out to Joe and Joe. Sorry, not Joel. Shout out to Joel too, but shout out to Joe Ito and
more him.
Place team. Really looking forward to working with Matt, their brewer, on the details of this, and I get to shuck some hops into a tank. That's gonna be exciting.
Matt and Joe,
or not a tank, brew kettle. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you're putting them in the right place.
Yeah. Don't just tell me where to put them. I'll put them.
And like rice at a wedding, just tossing it around.
And Matt and Joe were both on the call today, y'all. For the confirmation, and we all talked about the different parts of the thing. We're probably going to put some kind of show on at Lager and Friends, y'all. And we talked about some other things too. So y'all will stick around for the Badger Beer Report once it hits here. In February, going strong. I wanted to say that too. This is middle of January, y'all. So we're gonna crank up here, and we'll be hitting it hard in February. Expect the same interviews, expect the same everything, just spread out a little bit and a little different formats, maybe the same format. We still have yet to talk. Might see us live here, but it won't be in the format. So
how about a metaphor? Badger Beer Report is a 6-pack of single serving beers instead of
a growler,
instead of chugging like a sixtel of imperial stout, all
a
in
keg stand.
What do we got? 158. We're gonna get under 2 hours, I think, but it's gonna be tight.
Yep.
Maybe.
Here we are.
Get your finger ready, Greg.
Here we are.
We're gonna blow it.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we're going to sign off here, and we're going to thank everybody who has helped us. We're going to thank all of our guests. We're going to thank all of our people who shared, liked, watched throughout the whole 4 years.
Yeah.
We're not going away. We'll be here. Stay on these channels that you're on. If you're on Chris's Twitter, wherever y'all catch us, y'all will be able to catch us. How about that? And on that note, y'all,
we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, and an era ends here, and when I hit this thing, why can't I hit this thing?
We got like a thing.